Welcome back, everybody. Hope everyone had a great week. Well, we're going to start right back where we left off there last week onto the dash panel, the rear dash panel. So, as you remember, we soaked this with fiberglass resin that I thinned down with denatured alcohol. It's okay to your epoxy resins and your fiberglass resins. A little alcohol in there is not a big deal. I just want it to soak in. You don't want to do this to mat. If you're going to put the mat on, like the actual fiberglass mat, don't thin it out. Just use it as it is. This was the only purpose of this, was it to soak into that softwood area, which it did, and it has swelled up quite a bit. So I'm just going to run outside, going to hit it with the sander for a bit. We'll see what happens. You know what? That worked exceptionally well. There's no more squish to that. The profile, that looks pretty darn close to my profile over there. That is going to work out real good. Now, it is wet. You can tell by by the disc. You can see it gumming up a little bit. So that's enough of the thinning out. I'm going to have to let this go for the night again. You shouldn't really. My next spot is to start kind of fill this in with something and doing a little bit of matte, but you should never run new layers of fiberglass over top of uncured layers. You don't want to end up getting the solvents trapped in there, getting bubbles forming, and it just ends up making a mess over time. Now I did smooth the bottom off a little bit, not too much, because like I said, we're not really worried about it. There's a large gap; it's never going to touch. But I got a perfectly straight edge down here where it's going to butt in. The curve is coming around nicely. This should be just a continuation of this. No problem at all. We'll fill in the hole. There's a big hole here. I'll do something with that when I do the mat. But really, see, all this is just these little holes, every little dimples. You're never going to see it. I'm going to have a mat of cloth of some kind over top of this, so you'll never see that. But that's going to work. We're going to save this thing. Not going to have to worry about this too much. Got a plan on that. Not going to have to worry about filling it in. We're never going to see it again. So I got a plan on that one. We are going to have speakers, and of course we're going to have the heater as well. And I'm waiting on something little. It'll be different. Won't be manufactured from Chrysler, but need something better than a hacked out hole on top there. So I got an idea for that one, so we can still get good airflow to get that vent blowing on the rear window. So there we are, laying a little bit of fiberglass mat in there, a little fiberglass mat. Nothing crazy. Trying to keep the shape to it. It's a little bit low. It's sagged a little bit in there. It's okay. We'll touch it up. We'll fix it up. But this is mainly just to get this thing started and get it to have a basic shape and profile. So from here, I'll be able to trim that off to get my nice curve. And then I'll be able to start sanding that and working it again. And down on this end, I did the same thing. I had that big chunk that was missing, so I just built up a piece there in the corner, a little oversized. And again, I'll be able to trim that off, sand it up, and then once I put my layer of cloth on top of here, you'll never even know it was done. Never even know it was in there, hopefully. And then we'll be able to put it in the 64 and start piecing in everything else around it. All right, so means the fiberglass stuck so well to this product and soaked right in, and it's barely even a bump that you can notice. I'm going to cut out the two big spots here where the speakers were and where they've all been chewed up and eaten by the mice, where it's all gone. So what I'm going to do is we're going to measure out two panels out of some good board, good hard board. And this stuff, it's quite warped in this area anyway, but I'm going to end up cutting this out all the way around that, removing that chunk, the exact same size as that, and that'll be a plug. Same thing down here, doesn't have to be as big. This is all fairly flat here. It's just up in here is the problem. Plus it's all chewed up, so again, we'll make a nice square plug to go in there. Then we'll layer the table with plastic on both sides. We'll use fiberglass mat to seal both those halves in, and then we'll put some weight over it, some bags and some weight over it, leave it sit overnight, and hopefully it'll dry up good and solid. Now, I do believe this is the best way to get rid of all this, because there's just no way. We've had weight on it before. It's just too far gone. But the curve and everything on the back and these transitions, I need to keep that. And for the most part, this thing fits in there just like it should. So, cutting this all out, putting the board in, we'll put some fiberglass down there. Once it's all done, then we'll be able to put it back into the 64, and then we can get under there and trace where the speaker holes go, where the vent's going to go for the intake. I'm going to make this much better. Something different happened here. Why they're cutting out a hole like that compared to the two nice spots that are already there. We'll fix it. We'll make it better. I'm going to put a cover on that, but then as for the speakers, you're not going to see them anyway. They, of course, get mounted to the metal side, and once I do this, we're just going to put nice cloth over top of this, a little bit thicker, just so we don't see any transitions and bumps with the fiberglass, even though we'll smooth them out the best we can. But it'll just kind of hide those speaker holes away. You won't even see them, but it'll still allow that sound to come up. If we get that far with speakers, I'm putting them in, just not sure what I'm going to do with the stereo yet. Well, there's the big reveal. I pulled off the plastic, came off no problem, and it looks good. This thing is solid, nice and flush. A couple spots, it's a little low here. Not a big deal. We're never going to see any of that. But all in all, it worked out really, really good. Now, the only downside is that I didn't turn any heat on last night. I never even really thought of it. But come out here and it is only 7 degrees. So it didn't dry the best. Again, it's dry, but you can tell it's not quite there yet. It's got that little bit of stick to it. Just like the sides used to have when I did these corners. The same thing. I put a little too much on there, thinned it out a little bit too much. But now, all this is perfectly dry. It just took an extra day or so. And this is the same way. So you can see all the kind of the ripply effect. That's from the bag. The seam itself, pretty smooth. I think it worked out really good. But I'm going to have to do a little sanding. Not a problem. But I took my little DA sander and I just rounded off both edges. Just eyeballing the shape here. Because the next step, get that in there. Hopefully the corners fit good. But while we're waiting for another day or so, if this is dry, we might as well cut our loops, our circles in for the speakers, so we can get them ready to go. So everything fitting good in the back here. I put, this is the vent bracket that goes on the good side here. I put that on so the holes line up with the original holes that are in the panel, and they help hold it in. And I just went around with my sample piece here just to make sure this is going to be a good spot for it. And that is the way she's going to sit. It's going to be awesome. I got just the right amount here, and then over here got about the same amount. Now remember, this gets a nice little piece that kind of rolls down on here, so it should be covering all that up. But fits good. Now just got to get a pencil and get underneath there and try to trace that out. All right. Hole for a 6x9 on each side. And a funny little triangle one for that heater. I got in my Amazon basket, I got a nice little 5-inch kind of a semi-gloss black speaker cover. It doesn't have anything on it. It's just, you know, a really low. I think it said it sits about a 1/4 inch high, which would be nice once I put my fabric over that side. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stick that down on the, I don't know if I'm glue it or put screws one way or another. It doesn't look like it has any holes or screws, but on the other side, I'll be able to put it on there. It won't be shiny, so it'll kind of blend in a little bit. You got a dark hole going into a fan that I painted black on the inside, so there should be nothing shiny inside there to see, and it'll just help cover that over nice. Then of course, speaker holes, well, they'll just have the cloth just going over the top flat. So you don't really see anything. I don't need, you know, big fancy covers in here. You know, it's not like that was a style thing back in the day. But the cloth, it should be good enough for sound. If it sounds muffled, I'll change it. But I'm just going to mount the speakers. I can put them in on the bottom, screw them in there. There's self-tappers that go in there that hold them up. And then, yeah, just the cloth will go straight across here. You won't even know that there's a speaker hole. And hopefully it should sound okay. But next is, I'm gonna cut these holes though, but the issue I got nothing really to support this while I'm cutting it. And if this chatters, this stuff is gonna come to pieces. Even this, if it chatters on my jigsaw, it makes a mess. So I might have to put an extra fine blade on it. I got a ripper on there right now. Maybe I'll put the extra fine blade on there just to make sure that it doesn't chatter too much. And I'm going to try to cut these all out. Give them a little sanding. Try to make them smooth as possible. They don't have to be perfect. You won't see them. But like I say, anything worth doing is worth doing good. So let's give that a go. Well, that just worked out perfect. Nice and smooth. Ended up going around with that one. Just made it look a lot better. But that is perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now, not much else I can do with this. I need to sand. Got to sand it smooth first. That's the next step. I don't think I'll have to do much or any filler probably. Once I get this done down, I think it'll be fine. Everything should be good. The only spot is this little dip right here is a little bit, it kind of curves in here, but it's more than what this one is. So might have to do something, try to build this little corner up a little bit, because when I put my metal across, that's where I'm going to see the gap is right here. So we'll put something in there, fix it up a little bit just to take up that space. But that's going to be tomorrow, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be good to sand tomorrow. So I think I'm going to get some more of my felt material, my soundproof in there. And now that that's all dry, I'm going to lay some of that in right down the back of that seat cover, or seat divider, I guess, between the seats and the trunk. All right, I started taking measurements of cutting around all the hooks and everything like that on a piece. And you know what? Way too much work. So I just loaded the thing with glue, pressed it up against there, got that all rubbed down nice and smooth so there's no wrinkles in it. Gonna let that dry overnight. Then I'll come in with my scissors tomorrow, like right here where one of the hooks are. I'll find out where it's at. I'll cut a line down to it, kind of stretch it around, put a little dab of glue behind it, tuck it in nice. The bottom, I'm going to trim off. I'm going to let it come out about 2 inches. I'm going to glue that to the bottom of the floor as well. And that should make everything set in there nice. Those there, the hooks there, I got to cut around. And then this, I'll just kind of feed right up in there and close it up. And then the rear panel will go down over top of that and kind of help hold it back. But I think that's all I'm going to do tonight. I know it wasn't much for you guys. I actually ended up hurting my finger today pretty good. And I can't get it to stop bleeding. It keeps coming through all the bandages. So we'll see what happens. See what happens tonight without moving it. See if I can get that to stop leaking. If it don't leak, stop leaking, might have to go get it checked out or something. So with the extra day, the fiberglass dried up really good. Sorry, I still got the weird little cough. Had my heater on, left it on for about 4 hours, blowing across this. Dried up really good. Took it outside, hit it with the old sander, and she is good to go. Yes, you can see a little ripple in it. Well, not ripple, but you can see different textures. Not a problem. They're less than a millimeter. I don't want to go down into the original material, and I don't want to grind off all my fiberglass mat that I put on. That's what's holding it all together. So all I did is make it flat to the hand. You're lucky if maybe a millimeter might be a deflection in it. The cloth is going to cover it over. Now I did put sealer on it. Where'd it go? It dried up nice, but I have this primer sealer, and it's made by Duplicolor. Not sure if I had to do it, but for some reason, leaving the fiberglass open, I don't know why. I don't know why in my mind that seemed like a bad idea, or if it was even necessary, but I decided to seal it. So I had it scuffed up good. I used 80 on it, so it gave it a good texture. Just hit it with a little bit of primer there, or the primer sealer, just to seal it in there. And now this is nice and dry. I got a good surface. I'll be applying my glue and putting on my final fabric. So that's done. That's ready for that covering. Just like the doors are ready for covering. Now, back here in the old back seat of the 64 Chrysler. It's a little dark back here, but I have got everything. I got it all cut in nice, all around my hooks. Got everything glued tight on the top, and got everything sealed down the bottom. And of course, I had to cut out around the mounting plates for the seat. That's where you put the base seat goes in first, hooking into these funny clamps that goes all the way in, and then you force it in, then they come out and they hook themselves in, and the back stays loose. The top all goes on these hooks in and pushes into the back seat, and then you gotta really squeeze with a ratchet in between the two cushions and put the bolt in that holds the back of the seat down, and that in turn holds the rear seat down. But that turned out really good. Really nice. Again, that glue is it's horrible stuff. It's terrible, and definitely use the respirator. But that really smoothed that up nice. Little bit of soundproofing. That'll blend in nice when the carpet goes in. I actually think the carpet ends somewhere around here. It doesn't go all the way back. The measurements they gave me, because it comes in two pieces, I think it overlaps like 2 or 3 inches underneath the front seat. And the back piece stops somewhere halfway, so there's going to be a little gap here on each side, and you can kind of see through it, so I'll have to come up with something down here. But wherever that carpet ends, I'll end up putting more of this, kind of the blend, just for sound, just keep that road noise down. But I am now at the point where I really need to start getting some cloth, some fabric. I need cloth fabric, or what do you want to call it for this? I need my pleather or vinyl, whatever it is, the fake leather for the doors. So that's what I'm going to spend the rest of my night here. I'm just going to measure it up. I got a rough idea what I need, but I got to measure up to see how much I need to buy. If it's better to buy it in, because they sell it in 12-inch strips, and then they sell it in like a meter wide. So it's either 12 inches by whatever length, or a meter wide by whatever length. So I got to figure out what's going to be better. Unfortunately, whatever I buy for back here, a meter is going to be excessive, but because of the shape, that's what I got to do. So it's going to be a meter by about whatever that is, 6 feet. Figure out the pieces I need for the door. Do I cut it myself? Do I get it in 12-foot space chunks or what? But it's going to be sewn together. We're going to be busting out the sewing machine again. So yeah, going to measure that up. Tomorrow at lunch, I'm going to head into the fabric store in town. We got a little sewing store. Got to feel a little out of place, but it's part of the job. You got to do what you got to do. So anyway, that's it. Good, done. That actually turned out really good. I'm happy with that. And that is just looking nice. I do got to get some vacuum in here. There's so much dust. There's still dust in here from when I was painting. And there's also all the chunks on the floor from me chewing some more stuff out of the roof when I was putting that roof liner in there. Getting it all in. And it stayed up really nice, really good. And I'm happy. Anyway, I love you all. Catch you again tomorrow.